Alright, so inside the FreeX OSD packaging, took a second to cut the top off here. I'm going to go ahead and open this up, show you what comes inside the package. First thing you're going to get out is the OSD manual. It's going to give you all the different information about what the different pins mean, and then it gives you a nice little diagram here how to connect this up to your camera. It says it's set up for a GoPro Hero. I have an SJ cam, so I have my fingers crossed this is going to work. If not, then I'm going to have to get a GoPro, which is both good and bad. The reason I got this FreeX OSD module instead of going with something else was when you plug this into the quadcopter, it's going to give me all the information that's going on real time. It's going to give me flight speed, motor status, give me GPS satellite lock information, RF connection, height of the fuselage. It's going to tell me how high I am, which is really, really nice. We have line of sight laws in America, obviously, so knowing how high you are, you're not supposed to go above 400 feet, so I'll have real-time information with that. It's going to tell me battery life, so all the information I think is going to be really important when doing some FPV flying with this particular model. So I'm interested to see how well it works, of course. And then on one side, the other side is exactly the same but in Chinese, so you have English and Chinese on each side. I almost said American, but we technically don't have a set language. Alright, so on the inside, take a look. Here's the actual FreeX OSD. It's got a plug here. This looks like it's alright. This is plugged in here. Here's some adapters. This is what's going to plug into the side of the camera. This will plug in there. And then this battery splitter, 2 JST heads, one side, and a single JST on the other side. That's going to come in handy when it needs to be hooked up, because the gimbal runs off of this JST plug, so having the splitter will allow me to run the gimbal and the OXD at the same time. So that is what we're going to use. So we'll pop over here to the 40 channel wireless transmitter. First thing I'm going to find inside here is going to be the product specification, kind of the user manual. Open it up. It's pretty straightforward. It's telling you what all the different information means. And then the actual product itself. Again, JST plug. Some connectors. Pop this out of here. The antenna that comes with this one is kind of this 5 dB antenna here. So I don't know if I'm going to want that hanging down off of my quad, so I might get a mushroom antenna or something a little more user friendly. And then we have the actual transmitter here. So I'm going to get this all set up, try to get this installed, and go from there. Connecting the OSD module to my FreeX Skyview. When I received this, I thought I was going to get the attachment with the SJ4000, and instead I received the GoPro attachment, which is great if you have a GoPro. Unfortunately, I do not. I have an SJ5000. I'm assuming the SJ4000 plug will work in the SJ5000. So I had to order that today for another $2.40. The manual, when you get this, shows both of the adapters, both of the camera plug-in adapters, but the videos I've seen all show GoPro. So I guess I should have known better, but wishful thinking on my part that it would get here and have both adapters, but it did not. So what I've done so far is this piece. This plugs in here into the OSD, and then this needs to go and plug into the actual board in the FreeX. So what I've done is taken the attachment off. I just lifted each of these little plastic pegs and pulled the wires out using this dental tool that I ordered. Nice sharp point. Lets me get in there and lift stuff up and be delicate with it. So what I'm going to do now is feed the wires through the fuselage of the FreeX and then reconnect this, plug back in, slide it in, and then replug in the GPS. It is right next to the GPS module on the FreeX. So the OSD, when it comes, the non-FPV version, lift this up for you. The non-FPV version comes with this kind of like this plug-in here to keeps everything out of there. So you just pop that out, get that out of there, and it's basically the same little adapter, but it's just a shunt that they put in there. And that's right next to your GPS, and this is where the GPS plugs in. You can see that. If I can get this in really close, I don't know how well this is going to focus. This one says GPS on it. It says OSD right here. They're clearly labeled, which is really nice. So, no big deal. Alright, so I'm going to run those wires through, try to get the camera set up so that you can see that. I'm going to run the wires through right over here so that when I put the leg back on, I can run them to the leg as well. And then I'm going to plug it in here. So, I'm going to get the camera set up and then... Alright, so on one side of this is where you have your JST plug and the attachment for your gimbal, and that's run through the leg. I haven't popped that off yet. I'm just going to leave it for now. But over here, there's a hole right next to where you bolt your legs on. And right here is where I'm going to run the wires through. There's one on each side, so you can see all the wires were run through on these ones. So this is the most logical one to run it through because that's the quickest path to the OSD. So these should go through pretty easy. Now once they get on the other side, they're going to start jamming up. So I'm going to flip this back over so I can get in here. You can see them down there. Let me grab a tool real quick. It'll make life a lot easier. There we go. Got this super inexpensive dental tool set. I think it was like $2-3 on GearBest. I know I talk about GearBest a lot on this channel. They have lots and lots of stuff. Prices are usually great. You just have to be a patient person because their shipping sucks. And by sucks, I mean it takes like sometimes 20-30 days to get stuff. And I'll be honest, there are times where I thought it was never going to show up, and then magically it pops up right before I'm ready to complain. So if you can wait 20 to 30 days most of the time, then I recommend GearBest. But if you have to have it right away and you're not worried about paying a little bit more for something, then obviously Amazon, some of these other places are just as good. I even order from Banggood.com, which is another GearBest type place. GearBest is typically $1 or $2 cheaper than Banggood, but I feel like Banggood, I don't know why, it just seems more reputable to me. But otherwise, no complaints about GearBest. They do a great job. You just have to understand that the shipping is going to take a little longer because it's coming from China. And shipping is typically free, so it's not like you're paying $20 and then wondering where your stuff is. So as you can see, I ran this through here. Comes up. It's got a plug in here, so I'm kind of debating on what I'm going to do with the wires here. Probably just going to set it down. You got to make sure that this white wire, there's a small ridge right here. That small ridge has to be facing up when you plug it in. So the white wire needs to be where this small ridge is. So we're going to put the wires in upside down, white, red, black, and we're going to install them with the white wire up. Have to make sure that white wire is up. So just for ease of being able to see, I'm going to put white wire in first. Now, there's little plastic clips you have to lift to get these out. You got to be careful you don't stress them out too much so they don't break. You're going to need them in there to hold your wires in place. When you push them back in, you can hear a little click sound. That lets you know they're in there. I'm pulling back and none of the wires are coming out. I'm testing that. I'm just kind of giving them all a little tug to make sure they're all in there nice and secure. So I'm seeing this wire is much shorter than the videos I've seen. So I'm going to try to sneak it underneath this bundle of wires here. And that's going to be a bad angle actually. So reverse that. Get that out of there. Maybe I'll flip up, and I'm just going to come in, white wires up, and I'm going to plug in right here. And that's it. The OSD connection has been put in. I'm checking all these other connections. Some of them look like they're a little loose. I wasn't experiencing any troubles or anything, but just want to make sure everything's in there nice and tidy. So now I have these wires looped over right on this joint right here. I don't think that's going to be an issue. I know ESCs sometimes have a tendency to get warm. I don't want these wires pressing in there very tight. Yeah, I'm not sure about if I like that. So I think what I'm going to do is pop this back out and then find a way to run this behind this group of wires here, just keeping it away from anything that could potentially warm up in the future. So tuck this down, try to get behind these red and black wires here, grab a hold of this. Again, this is just me trying to make sure I'm not touching anything that could get hot with the wires. Not necessarily necessary, I guess. Alright, coming back up the back and plugging it back in. Now, if you haven't had a chance to check out my other video that I just completed with the top of my FreeX, I went through and put this copper foil over the GPS module. I had seen another YouTube video where a guy did that, and yeah, it works. I was skeptical, but I took it outside, and I think it was 30-45 seconds, and I had a GPS lock. And if you're a FreeX owner, then you're freaking out right now, because you know you're waiting 5-10 minutes most of the time to get a GPS lock. So, alright, that's it. The OSD, the wires are run. Now it's just a matter of taking this, plugging this in, and then obviously the sad part here is instead of going outside and flying FPV, I'm sitting here with a camera that has a connector that will not work. So shame on me for not paying attention to that. Otherwise, this plugs into your transmitter. I did not order the FreeX transmitter. I ordered this transmitter also from GearBest, but they're on sale right now. Not that expensive. There's lots of different models out there. So I'm going to recommend that you obviously shop around always. Don't just buy something because somebody tells you that it's good. Check your prices, and even when you get a decent price, check your prices again. I've found multiple prices on each of these websites, and all for the same product. It's kind of crazy, depending upon China warehouse, US warehouse. I've even had $10, $15 differences from US Los Angeles warehouse to the US New York warehouse, which is it's kind of ridiculous, but if you are willing to sit at the computer for a little while, you can find some decent prices. So, alright, I'm going to get this all set up and get it functional with my camera, and when that happens, I will post another video with everything working and kind of give you my feelings on how well it works. So until then, Quadcopters Decoded, signing off.